The Short Life of Uriel Septim VII by Rufus Hayn, 368 to 389, strategist and conciliator. The early decades of Emperor Uriel's life were marked by aggressive expansion and consolidation of imperial influence throughout the empire, but especially in the east, in Morrowind and Black Marsh, where the empire's power was limited, imperial culture was weak, and native customs and traditions were strong and staunchly opposed to assimilation. During this period, Uriel greatly benefited from the arcane support and shrewd counsel of his close advisor, the imperial battle mage Jaeger Thorn. The story of Uriel's marriage to the princess Corla Warrior is a less happy tale. Though she was a beautiful and charming woman and greatly loved and admired by the people, the Empress was a deeply unpleasant, arrogant, ambition-grasping woman. She snarled Uriel Septim with her feminine wiles, but Uriel Septim thereafter soon regretted his mistake and was repelled by her. They heartily detested one another and went out of their ways to hurt one another. The children were the victims of this unhappy marriage. With his agile mind and vaunting ambition, Uriel soon outstripped his master in the balanced skills of threat and diplomacy. Uriel's success in co-opting House Halu as an advanced guard of imperial culture and economic development in Morrowind is a noteworthy example. However, Uriel also grew in pride and self-assurance. Jaeger Thorn fed Uriel's pride, and hiding behind the mask of an outpaced former master concealer, Thorn purchased the complete trust that led finally to Uriel's betrayal and imprisonment in Oblivion, and Thorn's secret usurpation of the imperial throne. 389 till 399, betrayed and imprisoned. Little is known of Uriel's experience while trapped in Oblivion. He says he remembers nothing but an endless sequence of waking and sleeping nightmares. He says he believes himself to be dreaming and had no notion of passage of time. Publicly, he long claimed to have no memory of the dreams and nightmares of his imprisonment, but from time to time, during the interviews with the Emperor that formed the basis of this biography, he would relay details of nightmares he had, and would describe them as similar to the nightmares he had when he was imprisoned in Oblivion. He seemed not so much unwilling as incapable of describing the experience. But it is clear that the experience changed him. In 389, he was a young man, full of pride, energy, and ambition. During the Restoration, after his rescue and return to the throne, he was an old man, grave, patient, and cautious. He also became conservative and pessimistic, where the policies of his early life were markedly bold, even rash. Uriel accounts for this change as a reaction to a revulsion for the early teaching and counsel of Jaeger Thorn. However, Uriel's exile in Oblivion also clearly drained and wasted him in body and spirit, though his mind retained the shrewd cunning and flexibility of his youth. The story of Thorn's magical impersonation of the Emperor, the unmasking of Thorn's imposture by Queen Barentia, and the roles played by King Edwire Rielthelmain and her champion is assembling the Staff of Chaos, defeating the renegade imperial battle mage Jaeger Thorn, and restoring Uriel to the throne, threatened at length in Stern Gamboe's excellent 3-volume biography of Barentia. There is no reason to recount that narrative here. Summarized briefly, Jaeger Thorn's neglect and mismanagement of imperial affairs resulted in a steady decline in the empire's economic prosperity, allowed many petty lords and kings to challenge the authority of the empire, and permitted strong local rulers in the east and the west to indulge in open warfare over lands and sovereign rights. 399 to 415, Restoration, the Miracle of Peace, in Vvardenfell. During the Restoration, Uriel Septim turned from the aggressive campaign of military intimidation and diplomatic accommodation of his earlier years, and relied instead on a clandestine manipulation of affairs behind the scenes. primarily through the agencies of the various branches of the Blades. A complete assessment of the methods and objectives of this period must wait until after the Emperor's death, when the voluminous diaries archived at this county estate may be open to the public, and when the Blades no longer need to maintain secrecy to protect the identities of its agents. Two signal achievements of this period point to the efficiency of Uriel's subtle policies: the Miracle of Peace, also popularly known as the War in the West, that transformed the Ilac Bay region from an unruly assortment of varying petty kingdoms into the well-ordered and peaceful modern counties of Hammerfell, Sentinel, Wayrest, and Orsinium, and the colonization of Wardenfell, presided over by the skillful machination of King Heltheth of Morrowind and Lady Barentia, the Queen Mother, which brought Morrowind more closely into the sphere of imperial influence. 415 to 430, the Golden Peace, King Heltheth's court, and the Nine in the East. Following the Miracle of Peace, best described in Purventus and Daggerfall in modern history, the Empire entered a period of peace and prosperity, comparable to the early years of Uriel's reign. With the Imperial Heartland and West solidly integrated into the Empire, Uriel was able to turn his full attention to the East, to Morrowind. With the Imperial Heartland and West solidly integrated into the Empire, Uriel was able to turn his full attention to the East, to Morrowind. Exploiting conflicts at the heart of Morrowind's monolithic tribunal religion and the long-established Great House system of government, and taking advantage of the terrible threat that the corrupted divine beings at the heart of the tribunal religion presented to the growing colonies of Wardenfell, Uriel worked through shadowy agents of the Blades and through the court of King Heltheth in Mournhold to shift the center of political power in Morrowind from the Great House Council to Heltheth's court, and took advantage of the collapse of the Orthodox tribunal courts to establish the Nine Divines as a dominant faith in Hlaalu and Wardenfell districts. As part Anabolis treatment of the establishment of the Nine in the East in his 4-volume Life and Times of the Nerevarine is comprehensive. However, he fails to resolve the central mystery of his period. How much did Uriel know about the prophecies of the Nerevarine, and how did he learn of their significance? The definitive resolution of this and other mysteries must await the future release of the Emperor's private papers, or relenting of the Blade's strict policies and secrecy concerning their agents.